Well, welcome everyone to the Online Business Launchpad podcast. And I'm really pleased to have Dov Gordon here. He's the CEO of Profitable Relationships. And I first met Dov ages ago. I found online somehow by accident, really. I found a lead magnet that he had that actually turned out to be super, super, super useful to me. And I got myself on his list and paid attention to his emails that would come through. Used this free lead magnet for ages, and then at some stage he reached out and said, "Hey, would you like to be part of this program where we get groups of people together and we go through a particular process and we'll basically help you get your business going in a much more tightly planned out fashion." And I went, "That sounds fantastic." Did that, and I really found it quite useful. I still find the whole process and the framework quite useful. But since then, Dov's gone on to basically start to really, really hone in on some specific ways and refining that process and that framework. And it's one that not that many people talk about. And I thought it would be really interesting for you if I brought him on to the podcast and just get him to talk a little bit about what he does. And he focuses on relationship marketing. And that really resonates with me because I'm all about relationships. I'm all about collaboration and working together with people instead of trying to compete with people as a way of actually helping to build a business. So welcome, Dov. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks for having me, Trudy. Glad to be here.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So I'm going to go ahead and just start out with the questions that I usually start out with. And then I'm going to do what I really enjoy doing and just see where the conversation goes. But that is that, who do you work with, who do you serve, and why?
My main focus or sweet spot is working with consultants who are really good at what they do, but they're not necessarily natural marketers and salespeople. And we help them create a very simple, repeatable process for connecting with ideal clients and converting or enrolling some of them into paying clients.
I'm curious because, I mean, you said that whole thing about you can't really automate relationships if you're trying to scale them. I don't know how many people have contacted me on LinkedIn going, "Hey, Trudy, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. I think we have similar interests, blah, blah, blah." And as soon as you go, okay, look at their profile and you go, "Oh, it sounds like they're genuine," and you go click and you get this, spiel trying to sell you something straight away. And then if you try to have a conversation with them on LinkedIn, you get all these automated responses that don't make sense. I hate that. That's so fake. So basically, I'm curious because LinkedIn seems like one of the tools that you would probably use to help with this kind of an approach.
Mm-hmm.
What other things do you use to sort of help with this whole finding people who you think might be appropriate, and then basically building those relationships?
There's the answer to that will somewhat depend on the client and who their ideal clients are, who are your ideal members, and where could you find them. And it could be, I think the best thing is always to start with, your first core members should be people that you already know, where possible. That's not always possible, but forming that core group is, it's very important that your core group you start off on the right foot, right? You have the right people in there. LinkedIn is definitely, LinkedIn, in my opinion, is I'm guessing, I don't know, it's my opinion, it's probably the most valuable database in the world with one of the worst user experiences. There's just so many people there. I'm actually LinkedIn member number 277,000 something out of over 600 million. So I've been in there a long time, but I've only recently started using it, I'd say. LinkedIn, there are, referrals, introductions. The thing is, you have to realize it's a short-term and long-term strategy. What I mean by that is that I wouldn't recommend anybody do it unless it's something they plan to do for years. You don't start this unless it's something that you say, I can get good at this and I can do this for years. On the other hand, you have to realize that if you take that approach, you will start to benefit immediately, because you'll be finding that it's a lot easier to start conversations with people from that very day. So and those conversations are more likely to lead to something. it, so again, it could be LinkedIn, it could be associations, it could be advertise. I mean, I don't personally do or teach, let's say, Facebook ads, but there's so many. It could be, participating in different online forums or communities or networking events that, as is much more common. We talk, I work with each client to figure out like where you're going to where you're going to go to fill your pool, your pool of potential members. And they're looking to build a list, not of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, because they're looking to get that first dozen, 2 dozen, then another dozen. And once you reach a certain point, you start getting introductions from people in the group. So in one of my networks, almost all of the new members are coming from nominations. And I've added at least 5 people, I think, in the last few weeks, right? Last month or so. All of them introduced by somebody who's already in the network. So another thing that people do is like, I'm on your podcast. Podcasting is a very natural fit for this. A lot of people, they have a podcast because they see it as a way of connecting with people and building relationships. If that's your approach to podcasting, some of the people who end up on your podcast will be very good members for your Alchemy network, right? Some people are doing podcast guesting, like I do. Some of the people that I talk to who host me could end up in my Alchemy network, right? So there's no one right answer, and I think this is so important. I've been studying trading a little bit and the psychology of the very successful traders, and I noticed something remarkable. And that is that the psychology of the most successful traders is very much, they recognize that it's about probabilities. But what we're looking for as consultants, as small business owners and marketers, often what we're looking for certainty. We want to know that I'll do this if I know it works. And what we need to understand is there's no one thing that works all the time. We need to learn from the traders. And they need to see it as probability. When you expect that, oh, I'm going to buy this stock or sell that stock, I'm going to get into this trade because I know this is what's happening. Apparently, I don't have that much personal experience yet. Well, I'd say 20 something years ago, I did do some trading. I had some success, and then I lost it all because I didn't really have a system or a process or the mindset. So I've got that painful experience here to make sure that I learn it properly this time. So. But like that idea of, if I'm going to do something, how am I going to reach out to people? I need to let go of the result and focus on my process. In trading, you need a set of rules that you lay out for yourself, that you follow, that you recognize that if I do this, then 55 or 60% of the time, I'll make money. And if I make money 60% of the time, it doesn't matter if I lose money 40% of the time, because also you have certain controls in place that you're not going to lose too much, or you're going to, anyway. So same thing with consulting or marketing for consultants and other experts in small business. If we're looking for the right way, like what's the right way? How should I do this? We're not going to get anywhere, because as soon as something doesn't work, we think that, oh, it must not be the right way, or there's something wrong with me. And we're not approaching it properly. We have to approach it as, okay, what are the odds? The likelihood is that if I talk to 50 people, X% are going to be interested in talking further, and X% of those will end up becoming paying customers or clients. Then now you lay out the most simple plan, a simple process. And then once you have that working, then you can step back and say, well, how can I increase the impact of this process? How can I leverage it? And that's really the very long answer to your short question.
It's a really fantastic question, though. I mean, a fantastic answer. I mean, I really like the analogy to having a system for trading, share trading, because that's so true. What you're saying is absolutely so true. And that whole mindset of it's actually a numbers game, and the fact that it is a numbers game means that you can focus on optimizing the process to improve the numbers, which is what you do with a sales funnel. If you do that with an online sales funnel over time, you look at your metrics, your analytics, and you work out how to actually improve the bits where people are falling through the cracks. So I really like that analogy. So I just have just a couple of more really quick questions. The first one is that what you're talking about in terms of this alchemy network concept sort of seems to me to fit somewhere in between a mastermind and a membership concept. Can you maybe just talk about how it's a little bit different from maybe a membership? Because I run a membership model for our business. We have people come into our membership community, and we help and support them in doing what they're trying to do. What's the difference between a membership and an alchemy network?
Anytime you're forming some kind of group or network that involves people, there's going to be more in common than difference, right? So the differences are nuanced and subtle. It is a membership, right? Because people are signing up for a period of time, and then they can choose to renew or not. So in that sense, it's a membership. Mastermind really is a word that means lots of things to lots of people. To somebody, it means a Facebook group with 1,000+ members, and to somebody else, it means 3 people who meet, for an hour on Sunday mornings and like learn and discuss things and get clear. So that really can mean anything. In this case, I'll answer it this way. And because this is really what I drive into the heads of my clients when I'm working with them on this. And also, I've, by the way, since started a second alchemy network called the Under the Radar Leaders Network. And that is for consultants and others who are growing, who are using the idea of building their own alchemy network so they could learn from each other. So that's the big idea there. And the value that you're creating is rooted primarily in 2 things. Number 1, it's a curation, and number 2, it's conversation. You are curating the membership, and then you're making it easy for the right people to have conversations with each other, so they can better understand where am I now, where am I headed, and that comes through the right conversations, through the right relationships. That's how you're creating something uniquely valuable for them. So it doesn't matter so much to me. It's like what you call it, a membership or a mastermind, whatever it might be. It's the details, it's the nuance. That's really, it's the way of thinking about it, and then how you implement it. That's what really makes a difference. And I think that's the part that I didn't realize mattered so much, was so valuable before I started helping other people build their own. And look, I don't say this in an arrogant way. It's just a fact that sometimes a client will ask me a question, and I realize they're stuck on something that has a very simple answer. They just can't see it. And there's a lot of value in being able to lead somebody through something, because it's not complicated, but if you can't see the answer, you can't move forward. And if you can't move forward, it's worth 0. So when you're working with somebody who's mastered what you're trying to master, and they can help you get to a much better place, that's what I'm doing now, and I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I have to say that's the gold standard, isn't it? Being able to help people through all of the experience that you've had as you're going along. So quick question, if you were able to go back in time and visit your younger entrepreneurial self when you were getting started on this pathway, what would be one piece of advice you would have given yourself?
Worry less, contribute more.
I like that.
I still get that to myself. I still worry too much, and just focus on creative contribution, and most things will fall into place.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
I've gotten a lot better, but we all seem to have our little devils that we need to continuously work on.
Absolutely. I'm 100% there with you. I know exactly what you're talking about. Look, Dov, that's been fantastic. I've really, really enjoyed talking with you. If our listeners were interested in finding out more about you, where can they go?
We put up a free training along the lines of what we've been talking about, but a little bit of a more step-by-step overview of how this works and how to set it up at profitablерelationships.com/Trudy, TRUDY, in your honor.
Oh, thank you.
And if they go to profitablerelationships.com/Trudy, they can access it.
Fantastic. No, that's really great. We'll put that in the show notes and make sure that people have access to that and send them that direction if they're interested. It's just been so much fun talking with you and listening to you and hearing where you've gotten to with your business. I did really enjoy working.
Thank you. Likewise.
Great. Sorry, what was it? Sorry, was that?
I said, thank you. Likewise.
Oh, fantastic. Look, thank you very much. It's been great having you here. And I look forward to sort of being in touch with you in the future.